Hi, everyone. It's Dina with the Realize Foundation. And today I have one of our Scars to Stars authors in book four, and her name is Mckayla. So, welcome, Mckayla. I'm so glad you're here.
Hi.
So, we're going to talk a little bit about what your story is about. I know the book is getting edited right now, and it's so exciting. But I want to talk a little bit about your story and what you wrote and what your chapter is called Victim to Survivor. So I want you to tell everybody a little bit about what that means.
Well, that to me means that you go through something absolutely terrible, something no child or no adult should ever go through, and you can either do one or two things. You can let it ruin the rest of your life, which in the book you'll see a few of them it did. And then, or you can take it and, as bad as it sucks that it happened, do something good out of from it, help other people get information into the world like, hey, watch out for these things. Just try our best not to let this happen to anybody.
Yeah. So you were in sixth grade, is that right? When this
Fifth.
started? Fifth.
Mm-hmm.
And you wanna share a little bit about what happened?
I can. So in fifth grade, there was about six of us in total, and we were being drugged and shared between two men. It went on for about a year, and then nobody knew anything about it until 2021. When people actually found out about it. We had some justice at the end there. So all those years later, we got it, but up until that point, nobody knew. My family didn't. My husband didn't. Until the day a cop showed up at my door, and he was like, "Hey, we got to talk." Like, oh, probably need to elaborate why he's here.
Yeah.
And now they're both in prison. So
Hmm.
yeah,
So how I'm sure I can't imagine how hard it would be to tell your family what happened after all that time, but how did how did you even do that?
how did I tell them? Um, I told my husband first because the investigator showed up at our house, and he was highly confused, thought I was going to jail or something. And so after the investigator left, I sat him down and was like, "All right, so I have to tell you something. I've never shared this or told anybody." And then I just let it run and word bombing everywhere. Now, the way I told my parents was a little different because I was terrified. Not to mention that one of the men involved lived right behind my mom and my stepdad. So I was like, don't do anything crazy. Let the law handle it at this point, you know.
Mhm.
Um, and then when I told them, they didn't really say much of anything at all. I think they were in shock from it all. Um, but yeah, that it was difficult, very difficult to finally get it out. But even now, my husband and my mom and stepdad are the only ones that know, besides the court system, until this chapter comes out, or until this book comes out.
So let me ask you this, from the time that maybe that all stopped until the time that the court stuff happened, did you feel like you got healing in between there, or was it just something that was this big secret that you didn't know what to do with, or how was that time for you?
It was a big secret that I pushed down and down and down. I never worked through it. I didn't never nothing. I knew that I wanted to help people because of it, and I knew that I wanted to um, be able to help victims and like teaching faculty about that kind of thing. But I didn't know how, and I also knew that I wasn't gonna be able to do much of anything until I was worked on. Um, but I just kept it this really big secret until the investigator showed up at my house, and I was like, man, I thought I'd done forgot about this, and then I all like rushed back. So
Yeah.
I definitely had not forgotten about it.
I can't even imagine. Would you, if you were talking to your younger self,
Hmm.
um, or if you met someone that was that age and going through that, and you had a chance to say something to them, what would you say? Would you do something different?
Absolutely. Um, with there being so many of us involved, and it took a different effect on every one of us. Um, I would definitely, I would have stepped like telling my younger self, and I'd be like, all right, hey, it's not your job to protect everybody. Best way to protect all the other girls is you got to tell somebody. You've got to get help. Um, but back then, I was terrified. I had been through similar situations before, so I didn't see a point in reaching out for help because it didn't work out too well the last time I had done that. So I was like, I just don't see a point in it. But looking back at it now, there was so many of us involved, and there was so many signs, and there was, well, as you'll see in the chapter, one of the girls ended up pregnant for her first baby at age 13. So it definitely had a negative impact on all of us, but some more than others.
Yeah. Yeah. I can only imagine. So I'm wondering when you when the court case happened and you talked to your parents and your husband, and then how long ago was that? Very long ago? Was that more recent?
That was more recent. So the investigators showed up at my house in 2021. The first man took a plea deal in 2022, and then the second man we had to actually go to trial, a 3-day trial. Ooh, I could write a story on just that experience. Um, and that was in Sep- September of last year. Yeah, because that was when we got his sentencing and everything. Yep.
So he's in jail
Yep. They are both in the Alabama State Prison.
for a long time or what?
Yeah. The first man, he took a plea deal for 35 years, which he'll be really old and won't be able to do anything. And if he does manage to get out, he won't have anything. The trailer that he was living in is tore down. It's no longer there. Both of his parents are dead now, and their house was sold, so he has nothing if he gets out. Um, the other man, he got 13 charges on him, so he had like life sentence 13 times. And that
Oh,
was all because he wanted to go to prison or to go to trial and not take a plea deal.
yeah. Well, I'm just glad that they caught them and that all of you got some sort of justice, even though it doesn't really fix what happened.
I
So how
got a
do you,
little bit more faith now, so.
that's good. I'm just wondering how you feel it has changed you now that you're older and you have your mom and a wife. And how does that experience help you in your life now? Or like what have you learned from it?
Um, well, I don't trust nobody. I'm very cautious and I'm very particular, but I don't I don't smother my child as of right now. I gotta work on that, especially when he gets older. But um, I think it teaches me more to trust my instincts. If I get a funny vibe or something just don't seem right, I get out before anything takes place or away from whoever I get that vibe from. And then we're safe. I don't have to worry anymore. So I really, really trust that gut feeling that I get.
Yeah. So what do you think, how about your husband? How is he feeling about knowing all this now? And I'm sure
Uh,
he supports you, but
yeah, he was there through the entire trial. He took that week off work so he could be there for me, and he came back. He was there for the whole trial. He was there for the sentencing portion because that was at a later date. Um, and then when me and the girls will get together about once a month now, and he'll always go. Their husbands come, so it's always a big family ordeal. And it's really really nice to have that back again.
so you're really close with all the girls still.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm.
It's it's awesome that you can have that support, but also all of you have each other and know, what happened and how to move forward.
Yeah. And so they were the same way. When the investigators showed up with them, they had to tell their parents because nobody knew about it at all.
Wow. It's crazy that you guys were so young with so much trauma and didn't have an outlet to talk about it or to tell anybody. And
No,
that by itself is damaging, to your.
no, we didn't even talk about it with each other. We didn't. It never was something that was brought up when we were all together.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, I want to ask you, I want to change the subject a little bit and ask you about, when I think Lori is the one who told you about Scars to Stars.
Hmm.
And so tell me what that was like when you found out about it, or what made you interested in writing your story.
So when she had reached out and said I needed to get a hold of you, I was like, okay, why? um, so she told me she was like she does the Scars to Stars book project, and I think you would be really good on writing a chapter. And I was like, okay. So then she actually got in touch with you for me, and then that's how we connected. But I didn't even know that this type of stuff was around, and that to me is amazing. And I feel kind of in because I didn't know it was around, but we all learned. Um, but it was this is a this is an amazing, amazing journey to go on. I don't think everybody should go on it at least once.
Yeah, I think sometimes people say, I want to write my story to help other people. And they absolutely do, but they don't realize how much it helps them through the process.
Yeah.
And I think Demi does such a great job with editing and helping us craft, what story we want to tell. I'm very lucky to have her involved in the project.
Mm.
So, is there anything else you want to talk about or say?
Um, I do agree that it's very healing, very, very healing,
And scary.
and very scary. It's terrifying.
It's scary to write it, but then it's scary to have someone read it and edit it, and then it's scary to have a book on Amazon.
Yep.
But I think you'll see that you'll get feedback that is extremely supportive, and that it will help other people. So I think you're very brave.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Well, thank you for being on the podcast, and I hope looking forward to the book launch event and letting people read your story.
Thank you for having me here.